haven't heard, we are going to record the session so that if anyone wishes to listen in, then they can do through the recording. But good morning, everybody, and it's a very great pleasure for me to welcome you formally to the graduate school and indeed to your postgraduate research degree. So my name is John Kirby. I'm the Dean of Postgraduate Research. I'm also Professor of Immunobiology, so I have a research group on the third floor of the Leach building, which is where I'm sitting at the moment. So I'm research active. I have PhD students and have supervised many over the years, and I'm also currently the Dean of Postgraduate Research in the faculty. And I think later on today, you're going to meet formally with a number of members of staff. Probably first with Richie Hetherington after me, Dr. Richie Hetherington, who is the leader of our postgraduate skills development program, which is a kind of program, and Richard will explain this in detail, but a program of events and sessions that really provide you with the skills that may be necessary, not just for your research, but for the things that you might choose to do even when you finish your research degree. So it's to broaden your experience. And then later on this afternoon, you're going to meet my close colleague, Alison Tyson-Capper, who is the Deputy Dean in the faculty. And you'll notice on this slide that she's also the postgraduate tutor. These two roles kind of mixed together, but the postgraduate tutor has always served a pastoral role within the postgraduate research community. And before I became Dean, I indeed was the postgraduate tutor for many years. So, you know, we'll talk a little bit more about that, and I'm sure Alison will talk about it as we go through. But I think one of the things that we're really trying to impress upon you today is that we're here not just to help you with your research, but we're here to help you with all that goes together with being a research student, with the various support mechanisms that the university has available for you. So welcome to Newcastle. I'm kind of looking at the list of names that I can see in front of me. At this time of year, it's quite commonly the case that we welcome students, international students, but I think also there will be some students from closer to home who are present as well. So what I really want to do is introduce to you where you are, the city of Newcastle, the university that you're working within, and tell you a little bit about the way the university functions and operates, just so you become a little bit more familiar with it. And I realize that for some of you, this will not be surprising. Perhaps you've been in Newcastle for some time, but please bear with me because there will be people within the group who really are new to, indeed to perhaps the United Kingdom, but certainly to Newcastle and to the university. So let me just tell you where you are. You've arrived at in the city of Newcastle upon Tyne, which is an old historic city within the country. Newcastle upon Tyne, as the name suggests, sits upon a river, the River Tyne, and Newcastle really is north of the River Tyne, and the city sort of extends south of the river, but changes its name there to Gateshead, which is another city. So we have this kind of combined city, or two cities really, separated by the River Tyne. And it really was founded by the Romans some 2,000 years ago. And of course, it's one end of the world famous Hadrian's Wall, which is a wall that was built across the north of England at the time to separate it from what later became Scotland. So we have Hadrian's Wall that actually comes through Newcastle, and there's a region of Newcastle called Wallsend, which, as the name suggests, is where Hadrian's Wall ends. It's not a large city. In fact, it's actually quite a small city. If you look just at Newcastle, forget about Gateshead, forget about the other towns around, the population is only about 1/3 which means that it's only the 38th largest city in the UK. So there are many other larger cities. So it's small. And I think that from your perspective, that has a number of advantages. First of all, we are small. We've got two quite large universities. We have ourselves, Newcastle University. There's another university, Northumbria. And between those two universities, during term time, as many as a sixth of the population are students. So the city is very, very familiar with students and the needs of students, and is actually a city that's quite student-centric. So students are valued within the city. It's a safe city. It's a small city, so not only is it small in population, it's small in geography. So it's actually easy to get around. It's easy to walk about most of the city. So I'm sure that most of you have already found that your accommodation is perhaps walking distance from the faculty. I live within walking distance of the faculty, and that I think is one of the virtues of having a small city. Safe city, as I've said. And we're surrounded actually by some of the United Kingdom's most beautiful countryside. It's quite a low population density in the countryside around Newcastle. So if you do have an opportunity to get out and about and to explore the location, you'll find that you get out into green fields quite quickly. And there's some beautiful walking, beautiful beaches, and some hills to explore. So it's actually a nice place, I think, to be. And I'm not from Newcastle. I wasn't born in Newcastle, but I've lived here for most of my adult life, and I'm quite happy to stay here, frankly. So that's the city. What about the university, Newcastle University? Well, we are one of the UK's leading research-intensive universities. And I say that because we're actually part of a group of universities called the Russell Group. And this is a group of 24 universities within the United Kingdom that are considered to be the sites of most of the university research going on within the country. So we are a Russell Group university. For any of you, you'll almost certainly hear that phrase used. It just comes from the fact that vice chancellors within the Russell Group tend to meet at a hotel in London every so often to discuss the Russell Group, and the hotel is on Russell Square in London. Indeed, it's the Russell Hotel, I think, and that's where the vice chancellors meet, and that's why it became called the Russell Group. So students within this university, and particularly we're talking about the postgraduate research students, register high degrees of satisfaction, and of course they do benefit from the high quality research that is going on, which of course is absolutely important to you as research students. So how do I know that? Well, not surprisingly, there are a lot of league tables, and you've chosen to study at an excellent university. Our faculty, and here I'm talking about the Faculty of Medical Sciences, within a group of faculties, similar faculties, and we were listed 134th out of more than 15,000 universities in the most recent publication of a big global league table, the QS table. So 134th in the world. The Times Higher, which is one of our newspapers, Times Higher Education, recently rated Newcastle 146th in the world. So we're, well up. Our subject areas in the life sciences and the biomedical sciences and medicine are within, the top 100, 125 range. And if you look just at our publications, and that's the sort of thing that research students are always focused on, of course, what might they be able to publish from their research, then our research outputs are extremely good and place us 78th in the world, in fact. So we publish very well here in Newcastle in the life sciences. So you've chosen, I think, a very good university to begin your research careers. So facts and figures about the university. So we actually are not a large university. We're sort of somewhere in the middle. We have about 16,000 undergraduates and about 6,000 postgraduate students. Okay, so you can see that I mean, a significant number, but actually we're not even as large as the other university within our city. Northumbria has larger numbers, certainly of undergraduate students. We have 2,400 teachers, academic staff, and those teachers and indeed all of our students are organized into just 3 faculties. So the Faculty of Medical Sciences, FMS, which is the one, of course, that you are members of, contains somewhere just under 5,000 students, in fact. So we are the smallest of the three faculties at Newcastle University. We have then the Faculty of Science, Agriculture and Engineering, which is called SAGE by people who work within the university. So Science, Agriculture and Engineering has about 6,500 students. And then by far the largest of our three faculties is Humanities and Social Sciences, or HAS, as we call it, which has got over 10,000 students, in fact. So the Faculty of Medical Sciences is small, but it's very supportive and it's well staffed, and I'm sure that you're all going to be very happy with your time here. So let me just introduce you to the people who are really the figureheads of the university that you'll perhaps meet. For the top two, the Chancellor and the Vice-Chancellor, it's perhaps most likely you'll meet them on the day of your graduation, where no doubt you'll walk across the stage perhaps, and provided social distancing permits in future, you'll be able to shake their hands maybe. So we have a Chancellor who really is a kind of ceremonial figurehead of the university, Imtiaz Darka, the poet, artist, and a video filmmaker, very high profile in the humanities area of activity, but a very important ambassador for the university. And then the person who actually is responsible for the day-to-day management of the university is the Vice-Chancellor. And our Vice-Chancellor is Professor Chris Day, and he is a very well-known doctor, medical doctor in Britain. He indeed was the head of the Faculty of Medical Sciences here for many years before being promoted to be Vice-Chancellor. So not only does he steer the university, three deans who have what we call a cross-cutting portfolio, believe it or not. We have a Dean of Research and Innovation, and that's Professor Fiona Matthews. We have a Dean of Taught Programs, the sort of undergraduate and taught postgraduate programs, and that's Dr. Ruth Valentine. And then me, the Dean of Postgraduate Research, who is responsible for our PGR programs. And then finally, we've got the three deans that I spoke about on the previous slide, who lead our three Research Institute, so Andy, Joris and Kath. So this group of individuals forms the faculty executive, and between us we help David Byrne to steer the faculty forward in all of its various programs. So you're members of a research institute, but you are also members of the faculty's graduate school. And what I want to try to do is explain why you need to be a member of two apparently different bodies. So the faculty's graduate school supports you as a student. Okay, the institute will support your research activity, but the graduate school registers you as a student. It ensures that your research project and supervisors are appropriate for you. It will help you to make good progress during the course of your time with us. It will, as I said, Richie Hetherington indeed will be responsible for helping you receive training activities that help you to make good progress. We'll support meetings with students from other institutes. We'll provide a sympathetic ear, and we'll certainly help you with any problems that you might find as you proceed through your research degree. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, and I know that my colleagues will do so also as we go forward. But the sort of problems, we can help with everything ranging from accommodation through to well, anything, frankly, that might cause you issues as you go. So we can help with support you quite generally as you progress through. So I'm just losing my place now. Yeah. So the Faculty Graduate School, let me just give you a few facts and figures about that. At the moment, we have 107 some undertaking professional doctorates in clinical psychology. We have got doctors medicine, MD students. As you can see there, we've got about 60 of those at the moment. We also have postgraduate research students undertaking research master's degrees in the graduate school. We've got about 250 of those at present. So you can see there's a thriving culture of doctoral students and other postgraduate research students. And the graduate school's job really is to make sure that all these students finish on time and get the degree that they registered for and are satisfied with what the university does to support them. So it's quite a big remit. It's one we take very seriously. And in order that we can do this, we listen to you. So if at any point you think we could do things differently, if you think we could do things better, then please tell us. Every year, I can promise you, we change things in order to do things that we think will help students better. And very often, those things that we change have been suggested to us by our students. And, clearly during the period of the pandemic, we made quite significant modifications to support our students, and we'll continue to do that as we go forward. So please believe that if you have any concern, bring them to us, and we'll do everything we can to change things to support students better in future. So good news, all of that actually does work. We think that our students are satisfied. In fact, we know our students are generally satisfied with what we do. We know that our PhD students and doctoral students submit their thesis on time. And of course, that's really important for you. You've registered for a finite period and you want to frankly get your degree and move on with your life. So our job is to make sure that everything works in a timely way for you. And we know that last year, of those students who submitted their thesis, about 95% were awarded their degree. So essentially, if you work through the period of time that you need to submit your thesis, it's almost certain that you will gain the degree that you've registered for. And it's our job to make sure that that statistic remains as good as it is. The graduate school, you will find if you come along and see it, also manages another 700 students who are registered for taught programs, the postgraduate taught students, but they're rather different from postgraduate research students, and these two worlds don't intersect greatly within the graduate school, so they're managed quite separately, and you are recognized as postgraduate research students and will be dealt with as postgraduate research students quite specifically. So where is the graduate school? Well, it's actually all over the place. It's diffuse, it permeates the entire faculty. But if you want a physical footprint, then on the 3rd floor of the Ridley building, which is this rather 1960s looking concrete building here on that little lane that runs down past the medical school down to Queen Victoria Road, the lane we call Lovers Lane. On the 3rd floor of the Ridley building, there is a big footprint indeed that is the graduate school. And if you go there, you'll find that there's a reception desk, and there will always be someone who can come to the reception desk and answer any immediate question that you may have. So do feel free to enter the building, and do feel free to go up and indeed ring the bell if there isn't anyone standing at that reception desk, and someone will come to you immediately. It is for you. The graduate school is for the PGR students. We also have a training suite where right next to reception desk in the main faculty entrance, you'll find the training suite for PGR students. That's where some of the skills development training actually takes place. So there's a footprint there that's focused for purposed for postgraduate research students. And we also have, of course, the Ridley Atrium, which is a social space where people can meet and have a cup of coffee and discuss their research. Frankly, they can discuss anything, but we like to believe that a lot of the discussion is around our research, and students, postgraduate research students, are all entitled to access that Ridley Atrium. So quite a lot of infrastructure to support postgraduate research students, but actually also all the lab build and office space that supervisors have is also purposed for postgraduate research students. So they are throughout the building. Graduate school who's who? Well, you've already met me, the Dean, John Kirby. You'll meet Alison later on today, but there are others. If any of you is registered for an MD, then Rakesh here, who's a urologist based over at the Freeman Hospital, has also got the role of Director of MD Studies. So if any of you have any specific issues relating to an MD degree, then Rakesh is a good person for you to talk to. He can provide help and advice for those rather more clinical research degrees. The three individuals here highlighted in red have got the rather cumbersome title of Postgraduate Research Student Coordinators. And we've got Tim Cheek in the Biosciences Institute, Peter Gallagher in the Translational and Clinical Research Institute, and Elaine McCall in the Population Health Sciences Institute. So these three individuals are absolutely important to you, and they lead the programs and help students specifically within those three institutes. And they are each supported by deputies, but they will no doubt introduce themselves to you at some point and introduce perhaps their deputies to you also. Some of those deputies, for example, are out in the wider geographical footprint of the faculty, down at the Centre for Life, for example. So we have got individuals within our institutes who are there to help you. We've got Richie, who you're going to meet in a few minutes, and indeed he was on the call just a moment ago and might have rejoined us, who is the the skills development coordinator. And then actually up in that graduate school office on the 3rd floor of the Ridley building. You'll find Joe Nasser, who actually runs the administrative side of the graduate school and is an absolute expert in all the rules and regulations that govern our progress through the university. And she at the moment is supported by Adam Hiles, but Adam is actually moving to another part of the university quite soon and will be replaced. But Adam Hiles is present until the end of this month. And then he's going to move on to a structure that I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment, called the Doctoral College. So you won't lose sight of Adam. He's going to remain, but he's actually taking on a slightly different role within the university quite soon. So Joe and Adam are really the leads on the PGR side from the administrative perspective within the graduate school. So I want to now talk a little bit about the research degree that most of you, I know not all of you, have registered for, and that is the doctorate. And I think possibly on the call there might be one or two of you who've perhaps registered for an MPhil. Much of what I'm going to say is absolutely relevant to you also, because your research degree is managed in much the same way as a doctoral degree. But anyway, what is a doctorate? It's a relatively, surprisingly, actually, I found this quite surprising when I found out about this, but it's a relatively new invention. It really started in Germany, the doctorate, in the early 19th century. So, you know, it's been around for a little while, but perhaps not as long as we thought. The first British PhD was awarded almost exactly 100 years ago in Oxford. So, you know, we're talking about a degree program that is only about 100 years old. And the number of doctoral students in the United Kingdom, and indeed across the world, has grown in order that they can supervise doctoral students. And it's one of the jobs of the graduate school to make sure that that is the case. So supervisors must be experienced, and they must have appropriate expertise, obviously, to lead your research project through to a satisfactory conclusion. Hear much more about that from Alison later on today. But the formal meetings you have with your supervisors are actually proper sit-down, minuted meetings, potentially with an agenda, and you will come up with conclusions and design things going forward. So they're not just informal meetings in a corridor. These are proper formal remember, as I say, these are minimum expectations. You do not need to worry about only seeing your supervisor 10 times a year. It's likely to be very many more than that, certainly early on. So you've got your supervisors, absolutely important members of the team who will support you. But there are others as well. You will have a progress review panel. And I suppose when you start off, this notion that your progress is going to be scrutinized by people other than your supervisors might seem a little bit concerning. But in truth, this is a way that we can all benefit from other people looking at our work. So you will have 2 members appointed by your institute. They will have a skill set appropriate to make judgment and understand your project. They will be independent, as I say, from your supervisors, and they will monitor your progress throughout your degree. So you will have a regular meeting with them annually, typically. So you will see these individuals every year, and they will ask you about your work. You'll probably present your work to them, possibly with slides, and they will provide some formal feedback for you. And in science, it's always helpful to have someone else have a look at your work. And remember, if you're doing a doctoral degree, at the end of your doctoral degree, you will submit a thesis, and you will then have 2 examiners who will go through your thesis and ask you questions. So your progress review panel is essentially providing you with all the necessary skills and training to defend your thesis when you submit it at the end of your program. So it's part of the process of helping you to actually gain your degree on time and to acquire the skills needed to defend your thesis. So absolutely an important part of the program, and it's commonly used now across all members, certainly of the Russell Group, will have a similar sort of progress review panel process. And we in the graduate school make sure that this works for you. It will make sure that you're invited to proceed to these progress reviews and in a timely way. We actually have a clock running in the background for each of you, and there will be automated emails that come forward to invite you and to remind you that this program is going forward. So Alison will talk about this in your the managing your research degree session later on. And as I said earlier, you know, at all times we listen to you. We have a number of committees that function within the university. One of the most important from your perspective in the faculty is the Postgraduate Research Student Committee, the Postgraduate Research Committee of the faculty. And there are student representatives, and you will have an opportunity perhaps to be selected as one of the student representatives that comes forward to that committee within the graduate school, the Postgraduate Research Committee. And when students come to that committee, they frequently express their views about what we do, and we listen. And as I said earlier, if changes are suggested that are reasonable and feasible and helpful, then we will do everything we can to change our processes to accommodate that view. At university level, something similar happens. We have student representatives at university level committees as well for postgraduate research, because remember, we've got 3 faculties, and we want to try and make sure that as far as is possible, each of the faculties does something broadly similar. So we have an overarching committee as well with student representation. So all of this works quite well. It works together with and in partnership indeed with the student union of the university, so that we have this representation that goes throughout our committee structure and does change the processes that we use for managing and helping students to progress. So we have, as I say, right at the beginning, we've got 3 faculties. Each of these faculties has postgraduate research students and doctoral students. And as I mentioned again earlier, we are bringing the three faculties together at the moment to produce a university-spanning doctoral college. Now, that doesn't mean that things are going to change. We're going to still have a graduate school. You're still going to be members of our faculty's graduate school and members of the Research Institute within the faculty, of course. But there will be overarching all the three graduate schools, a new structure called the Doctoral College. There is a website for that already. And part of the reason for doing this is to make sure that actually the three faculties are indeed all behaving as one and all supporting students as well as each other, and allowing students to understand what happens in other faculties and perhaps engage more in the sort of interdisciplinary studies that everyone nowadays is keen to engage with. So there are things happening in the other two faculties that I'm sure each and every one of you would be interested in finding out about. And that's really what the Doctoral College will help you to do. So you will hear much more about the Doctoral College during the next year or two. We started it just before the pandemic, and frankly, as we were dealing with the pandemic, it didn't develop quite as quickly as we'd hoped because we had other priorities, as you might imagine. But that Doctoral College is going to become a progressively more important part of the university's activity over the next year or two. So look out for that. And you know, that really brings me just to a few final words. Your postgraduate research students, that means that you know, I was a postgraduate research student. The people who support you, your supervisors, we've all been postgraduate research students. That means we all share a common enthusiasm for research. And frankly, I'd like you to believe that at the level that you're at now, we're all in it together. We're all colleagues. You know, when I work with my own postgraduate research students, I'm interested in them as students, but I'm also interested in the research they're doing, and hopefully they're interested in the research I do, and we work together. It becomes a collaborative venture. And you know, the way science is done increasingly now is as collaborative ventures. So you are colleagues. We will support you, but you will support us also. And it's the case indeed that students already publish some of our leading research papers. There's a process that will be published, the results from indeed, in May this year, called the Research Excellence Framework, which is another potential league table, which actually all universities in the United Kingdom engage in. And this judges the impact and value of our research. And when we put together the sort of applications and submissions we have to prepare for this exercise, we look at where our papers are coming from. And in parts of the faculty, as many as a third of our research papers, a third of our leading research output is coming from postgraduate research student projects. So you're absolutely an important part and will become an important part of our research activity, our overall productivity. So we support you to do that. And ultimately, by then generating such good research papers, you're helping the faculty. So it is very much a collaboration between PGR students and the support workers and the supervisors within the faculty. So we will do all we can, I promise you, to support you. And in order that we can do that, I don't want any of you to worry about anything that happens without coming to talk to us. So we're all here to help you. And I really can't stress that too much. And you'll hear something similar, I'm sure, from Richie and from Alison later on. We are here to help you. And who can do that help? Well, supervisors can help. Progress panels can help. Your postgraduate research student coordinator out there in your institutes can help you. Graduate school staff, Joe, Adam, and others can help you. Alison, who is the postgraduate tutor at the moment, can help you. And of course, I can do it too. And you don't have to think, well, I must first take my concern to my supervisor and then to the progress panel and then to the postgraduate research coordinator. You can come to anyone at any time, at any level, with anything. And, you know, we are all eager to help. And we are all able to respect confidentiality. If you want to come and discuss something with us that you don't want to go any further, then we will respect confidentiality. Okay, so we're all here to help. And I think that's probably my last slide. So I don't know, let me stop sharing the screen. I can only see Holly on the screen, but it's been lovely seeing your names anyway. And I hope there are real people out there. So what I'm going to suggest now, Richie, I can see you're there. So we'll probably have a pause now, shall we, for 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so. I think you're starting at 11, is that right?
Yeah, yes. Holly will have the exact rundown of who's up when.
Yeah.
But I'll run through that session of introducing various parts of the university to the new students.
Great, thank you, Richie. So I think we'll probably encourage everyone to just remain as they are and pick this up again in a quarter of an hour or so.
Yeah, feel free to go and make yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and join us back at 11 o'clock but also feel free to, if you see somebody, or you have a conversation, just feel free to unmute yourself or use the chat to ask any questions of anybody, including me. I'll just pottering on in the office here, so feel free to communicate. I think this is one of the things that we'll be glad to get back to in-person sessions pretty soon, on the basis that it's a lot easier to have those little informal conversations in between speakers, etc.
I do agree. I do agree. But at the same time, I mean, I think the chat function on Zoom has been also quite valuable. So if anyone does have any comments they'd like to make about what happens today, then please feel free to use that chat function. We will read it and look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Ask any questions you'd like. That's totally fine. But,
all right.
Thanks very much, John. Much appreciated.
Okay, well, that's absolutely fine, and it's always nice to welcome new students to the faculty. So I'm going to actually call off now, if that's all right.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it to you and to Holly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, John. Take it easy.
If I press leave, it's not going to finish the whole thing for everyone, is it, Holly?
Oh, actually, let's just make sure we've got.
No, I think it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Oh, Holly thinks it'll be fine, so it'll be
well,
fine.
if it does happen to, then we'll make sure that we can get everyone back again. Okay, well, lovely to see everyone. Yeah, bye-bye.
Okay, thanks very much, John. Bye now.
Yeah, we're still here. Good.
Yeah, we're all still here. Great. Okay, well, I'm just going to just pottering on with a list somewhere. So I'm going to go off camera, and please feel free, as I said.
Yeah, we'll come all back together for 11. Great.
Okay.
Oh, hi, Louise. Hi, sorry, I just sent you a message at the same time.
Oh, that's all right.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. Yeah, not too bad. I'm good. Just to let you know, this is being recorded, but we're just kind of on like a little break from John's session this morning. So then
Oh, that's
people are
fine.
kind of gonna come back for 11.
Oh, fine. Perfect.
Yeah.
Have you got my slides, or am I sharing, or?
If you're able to share, that's great. If not, you can
Yes, I
send them
think
to
I
me and I
can.
can get them up. But if
I have
let
a
me
button.
let me just check you're down.
I do. I have a button.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. Hopefully
I
you
do.
can.
I do. Yep. There we go.
Great. Great. Should we try it? Do you want to try it?
Yeah,
or
of
do you think
course.
it'll,
Yeah. That should be the one.
Oh, great. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Do you want me to leave it up, or shall I take it down for now?
However, you can leave it up. Sorry, Richie's just asked me a quick question in the chat, which I'm slightly confused about. If he's on, maybe he could just.
Yeah, sorry, Charlie. I was just going to. I can do it myself. I was just going to stop recording just for a minute, just so that it comes as two separate recording files when I come.
Oh, okay. Stop recording. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I see what you mean.